My project is going to be about wind energy. Specifically, I want to do a project about putting wind turbines into urban environments, like on top of buildings, private homes. And so in order to do this project, the main question that I'm going to ask is, what does someone need to know or do to install and use a wind turbine for their personal or building electricity needs? I just got my gas bill and it's so high in the wintertime, but I don't want to use electric heaters because then I'm burning coal. It's not really an acceptable solution. But if I could convince my landlord to put a wind turbine on my building, it could solve not only my problem, but all the residents in the building would be able to pay virtually nothing, perhaps, much less in the wintertime for our heating. So, what information do I need to find in order to answer this question? The first thing that I thought about is that I need information about how people decide where to put their turbines. You know, where on the building, which direction do they have to face, how tall do they have to be? That's a little bit the height of the turbine as well. So how do people decide this? I think maybe they have to get measurements of the wind, maybe at different places around the building. How do people measure wind? What do they do to measure wind? And how long should they measure the wind before they know where the best place to put the turbine is? I know that since there are wind turbines all over Turkey and Europe, there is a lot of information about this. I just don't know the answers to these questions myself yet. Another thing that I will need to get information about is how to connect the turbine itself, the turbine battery, to my building's electricity system. My landlord, if he did this, he might need help or even permission from the electric company. Does he have to connect it to the electric grid and then back into the house? So I don't really know how this works, and that's information I would need to find out. And related to that is finding out whether or not you need to have licensing permission to do this from the city, your local district, or even the electric company. I have no idea. Something else that probably would be important to think about is the local environmental impact. How would a wind turbine on my house affect my neighbors and my neighborhood? Is it going to make too much noise for them? Will some people have problems because now they have something really tall blocking their view of the Bosphorus? Would I have to worry about people stealing my power? And how would I control those things? And if these would create problems, I thought of another one, which would be birds getting stuck in the turbines. So I would have to find out how people deal with these problems. Last but certainly not least is if I want my landlord to do this, I'm going to have to demonstrate to him that it will benefit him financially. So I have to find out what the cost benefits would be and over what period of time, and as well, what is the timeline from when you start doing your measurements and collecting the data you need to decide whether or not you can put a turbine on your house, whether it would produce enough electricity, and where it should go on the property. So that's sort of connected to this, from the time that you actually could install it in your house and have it start producing electricity for you. So I think these are the main things that I would need to know in order to answer this question, that anyone in Istanbul would need to know to answer this question. And my final project is going to be in the form of a website. The reason why I think this is the best is because these things are all rather different types of information, different bodies of information. They're all connected together because they're all about wind energy and putting a turbine on a building, but they're also very separate components. So my webpage would be designed for people to investigate each of these individually, and they could find links and information about each individual aspect of this quite easily on the website that I'm going to design.